You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. HH blocked from visiting KAMBWILI in prison as police refute ever summoning him in Chinsali. President Edgar Lungu leads Zambians in prayer and fasting. Online voter registration condemned. In international news, tensions run high in South Africa following the killing of a white farmer. And in sports news, MICHO summons 23 local bullets for Ethiopia, Sudan friendlies. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444-726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. A resident of Lusaka's John Howard compound who survived a police tear gas canister shot and had his leg amputated has asked government for financial assistance through the social cash transfer program. Jonathan Kwenda, who had one leg at the time of the incident, was hit on the remaining leg by the police during the time of the riots regarding the issue of suspected gassing. He later lost both of his legs and currently is confined to a wheelchair. More in this report.
Jonathan Kwenda, who may be said to be a victim of circumstance, was caught up in the commotion which erupted between the residents of Lusaka and the police during the gassing protests, which were equally witnessed in several parts of the country. The gassing incidents, which took place earlier this year, saw a number of people losing their lives on mere suspicions, while some people, like Frank Mugala, were killed by the police. Kwenda tells this journalist that he was not part of the protests, but due to his inability to run, a tear gas canister landed on his only remaining leg. He explains that he has lost his source of income, thus making it difficult to support his wife and 4 children.
Otherwise, it's going to be bad. We're grounded. Family, one up school, rentals. At least the time pens in one leg. There's one sap pushing, but the manja in the position. Singa kwani so once. Time we know kila mtu mboni sakile kuko 10-11 hours nishwanzanga kushona kudala. Mr. Kwenda is not on any government social security program, hence is requesting to be placed on the social cash transfer scheme.
Mulikopa program agency ya government monga social cash transfer.
Asinili.
Okay, but monga fune naimo mapezeka.
This matter has however attracted the attention of Disability Rights Watch National Coordinator Bruce Choma.
Indeed, it's unfortunate that the gentleman in question suffered a permanent disability as a result of an action of the state. In terms of human rights, the state has an obligation to ensure that victims of disability as a result of state actions are compensated. And our appeal is that this matter should be taken up seriously so that his family can receive support to allow him to undergo rehabilitation. And also, as a matter of policy, it's important that this individual and his family should be considered for emergency social protection mechanisms. Right now we're in the COVID era, meaning that obviously even his opportunities to rehabilitate himself economically are reduced. These are the sort of individuals who must be given priority when it comes to emergency cash transfers.
Notably, 4.8 billion kwacha has been allocated to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 and enhance social protection, with 2.3 billion kwacha going towards social cash transfer program. And the number of beneficiaries under the traditional social cash transfer program will be increased to 994,000 households in 2021 from the current 700,000 households. One only hopes Mr. Kwenda will be among new entrants to benefit from the program. Patrick Soko, Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic have not spared the transport sector, as the pressure to meet cashing targets is forcing some bus drivers and conductors to venture into alcohol and substance abuse. However, it has been observed that substance abuse is contributing towards mental illness. A check by Camnet TV in Lusaka revealed that illicit alcohol, beverages and other intoxicating substances are being sold openly and secretly in bus stations. More in this report.
It is now common knowledge that the COVID-19 pandemic has negatively affected various sectors of the economy, and the transport sector has not been spared. Before the COVID-19 guidelines were slightly relaxed, it meant people could not move anyhow, and that badly affected bus drivers who could not meet daily cashing targets. However, bus owners hardly understand the struggles these people go through, as one of the drivers explains.
Convict, cashing kai wene wake mdala, makashing mazafu na sibazi wene wake. Bosi sanga kwele muno moto kwele aona moto kayanga yasinza brand. Through ine nkabelekera problem cha bosi problem wantu ni wangono sibaye ndamonga ipa pamene na lead hapa ilikuwa at least but kumbuyo kwa ina lead kwanena kwa yamba ukiafikana pakati. Nze bad ya kuloma bosi olo 200 kwacha munga ino big bus nzokanga kupanga.
In order to manage the stress, others resort to excessive alcohol consumption, which ends up affecting their psychosocial well-being. It is against this background that the Commuter Magazine team leader, Liswaniso Manalunshi, in partnership with other stakeholders, have embarked on a program to raise awareness on the effects of alcohol abuse in bus stations.
Stepping in to try to help out, we thought we started this campaign because this very issue of asking them to pay the required cashing, some drivers have resorted to drinking alcohol or abusing other substances. Now we are saying this is causing mental health diseases, and we cannot just watch people waste their lives like that. So
Mr. Monalunche has called on other stakeholders to join the campaign to fight alcohol abuse and mental illness.
We are encouraging them to seek medical attention. We are encouraging their friends who are seeing their colleagues developing these conditions to intervene. We are appealing to families, the media, everyone to play a role in this. So us at the Commuter Magazine, we came up with this quiz just to start the debate. We are working with the Ministry of Health. We are also trying to bring on board the manufacturers of alcohol, like Zambian breweries, and these manufacturers of Junta.
Road Transport and Safety Agency Head of Public Relations, Frederick Mubanga, says road safety is a collective responsibility.
Must allow me to emphasize that substance abuse, such as driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, has got a very direct bearing on driving itself. When somebody is driving under intoxicated substances, the probability of that person in terms of concentration on the road is highly reduced. We are glad that you're working with various stakeholders, including the Ministry of Health, the Drug Enforcement Commission, just to see to it that we reach out to the minds of road users so that we discourage members of the public or motorists in general not to drive under the influence of alcohol.
The Eurometer report of 2018 ranked Zambia as a country with the highest per capita consumption of alcohol in the region at 9.84%, followed by South Africa. Even as there is much love for alcohol in this country, this driver acknowledges that alcohol must not be allowed in bus stations. Patrick Soko, Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Authorities at Lusaka's Kamwala Remand Prison Sunday blocked opposition United Party for National Development UPND President Hakainde Hichilema from visiting incarcerated National Democratic Congress NDC leader Chishimba KAMBWILI. According to NDC Vice President Joseph Akafumba, he explains that the correctional officers at the facility informed him that they have been given instructions that Mr. Hichilema should not be allowed to visit his fellow opposition leader. Mr. Akafumba further explains that the officers have told him that Mr. Hichilema should get clearance from Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo should he wish to visit Mr. KAMBWILI. But Mr. Hichilema says this is a total breakdown in the rule of law, as there is no way in the law where it says a private citizen can be blocked from visiting another person in prison. Mr. Hichilema says while he was in prison, Mr. KAMBWILI was visiting him and wonders why he should be stopped from reciprocating the same gesture to a brother.
And we're within visiting hours, regulated, legal visiting hours. And those inside this prison have a right to be visited. We who are outside have a right to visit those inside. No one should stand in between unless those standing in between agree that this is a demonstration of a breakdown in the rule of law. No order, no leadership, nothing. That's what's going on. When I was in prison, he came to visit me. He had a right.
That is true.
It's my right to visit him. It is his right to be visited. So who should stand in between? Only rogues stand in between. But I know the prison officers here are not the one who are responsible for this.
Well, it's quite sudden what we have been told by the officers managing the gate. What they have told us is that President HX must get clearance from the Minister of Home Affairs, Kampyongo. To me, it doesn't make sense. A lot of people have been allowed, but why only President HX? Isn't he a Zambian? Is he entitled to visit his fellow president?
Meanwhile, in a surprise turn of events, the Zambia Police Service has denied ever summoning the UPND leader for questioning in Chinsali, responding to journalists in a police WhatsApp group who wanted to know if indeed it was true that Mr. Hichilema had been summoned. Police spokesperson Esther Mwata Katongo expressed ignorance over the matter. In a short statement, Ms. Katongo explained that Mr. Hichilema had not been summoned to appear before any police station in the country. Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo on Saturday during a press briefing stated that the UPND officials have to account for their deeds to the police when they appear before them as they have been summoned. The UPND leadership also confirmed on Friday that police had taken a call out at the party's secretariat inviting Mr. Hichilema for questioning in Chinsali on Tuesday, 21st of October 2020.
Having monitored some social media posts in which some UPND officials are calling for people to go and give solidarity to those members of the party summoned by police in Muchinga province, we wish to advise them not to proceed, as doing so will be tantamount to unlawful assembly or conducting an illegal procession which is against the law. There is no need for sympathizers in this regard to come into conflict with the law. As per our mandate of maintaining law and order in the country, we will be on hand to do just that. We therefore advise all those planning to travel to Muchinga province for the mentioned reason to rescind their decision. We also wish to dispel reports that the opposition UPND leader, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, is among those that have been summoned to go to Muchinga province.
Residents of Solwezi district in northwestern province have condemned the recently introduced online voter registration by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ. The residents explained that the process risks undermining the integrity of the electoral process due to the fact that many rural people do not have access to the internet for them to register. Stakeholders talked to by Camnet TV in the district have observed that ECZ has disregarded the law by making arbitrary decisions that negate basic tenets of democracy to manipulate the electoral process. They said not many people have smartphones, adding that online voter registration is not supported by law and was launched without consultations with stakeholders.
Computer tunashikenyi wani mulonga kukwata chikasa amesu wani idimu wani ichunga dekalantu hakuinza huyena adingi dichunga de adingi na freedom ayinu yekala democracy yatera kuyika samudi nekwishi nawo chuti mudikiteta ya kukenga muntu yomweni ndi hamindi wani noti kwewe atiwe ukawe atipa computer na ngupa phone kuti tuwavota shani pa internet ifwe wambita tuwasambilira kuti tuwayashani mukuvotera pa internet na ngupa phone ane varongo va mijimukai ravai na kukenkenta enu arunda kumusero kumudi kumanyamo kumudi vakaruvale kuzambezi.
The move can be okay in some other ways, but it's not making sense. Looking at how many people have access to that, it's not everyone who has got this money. Currently, it's not everyone in Zambia who knows anything to do with the internet. There are some people who don't even have access, especially those who are in rural areas, because even when we just bring it here in Solwezi currently, people might even think maybe there's a game which is going on whereby we want to vote in advance. So it's not even making sense.
A governance activist, Lewis Mwape, has described as a joke the insistence by government through the ECZ to manage to register 9 million voters in 1 month ahead of the 2021 general elections. On Friday, Vice President Inonge Winner allayed fears among the general public that the ECZ may not manage to meet its target of registering 9 million voters. But Mr. Mwape insists that more people may end up failing to exercise their right to vote as government continues to disregard people's advice. He explains that registering such a huge number is a mountain to climb for an institution which is also struggling financially. More in this report.
I think what we need, first of all, we know that legally we need to undertake what is known as continuous voter registration. So going by that legalistic provision, so it would be very, very important to think that already we could have at least, even if there are people who have died, we could have at least maybe 5 million that would have been already on the voters register. So by then we could have been looking for about 4 million people to pick up 9 million. So on the point of logistics and on the point of just the process itself, without looking at the legal implication, I think it was going to be very, very quick for government to enroll 4 million more on the register, adding on to what is already existing. We are joking as a country, first of all, to think that we can do 9 million. I think history has been there, and I think the Electoral Commission of Zambia has not just started today. It has an historical in terms of performance in the registration process. They have never done 9 million ever since it was established. So this is a new thing, and I think it will be very, very important for not to be joking with the mandate that has been placed on the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So let's be serious as a country. When we are given the mandate by the people, let's implement and undertake that mandate.
We take our first set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not pure glycerin.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. A cross-section of society led by President Edgar Lungu in Lusaka and Vice President Inonge Wina in Chipata District have commemorated the Day of National Prayer Fasting and Reconciliation. In Lusaka, President Lungu graced the event at the showgrounds. Patrick Soko covered the event and now reports.
While the Opposition United Party for National Development and the National Democratic Congress stayed away from prayers today, the event was held across the country. The UPND has described as a mockery the National Day of Prayer and Fasting, while the NDC says the prayers are for hypocrites. The National Democratic Congress says they could not participate because their leader Chishimba Kambwili was convicted by what he called a PF conviction, even as it is their democratic right to stay away. However, they missed out the message delivered by Catholic priest Father Laston Lupupa, where he implored Zambians to give Caesar what belongs to Caesar by urging Zambians to be paying taxes.
That is in our safety, that is in our favor, to give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. He's not comforting us, he is saying Caesar has been given to you. Now, listen to me. Caesar has been given to you. Give him what belongs to him. And then, in whose image is Caesar created? Caesar is created in the image of God. Therefore, give to God Caesar. Give Caesar to God. When we give Caesar to God, then God begins to use Caesar to bring us all the blessings. You see, the colonialists were God sent. The colonialists, they didn't just come. Of course, they came to rule. But when they were partitioning Africa, that was God's agenda. That was God's programming. Today we are Zambia because somebody stood somewhere and said, no, this side, this is Zimbabwe, this is Angola. They were doing that under the instruction of the heavenly operating system called God.
Father Rupupa says President Edgar Lungu is God sent, further exhorting him for standing up for the church by declaring the National Day of Prayer and facilitating the construction of the House of Prayer. He further implored the head of state to command economic recovery. And Bon Short, Living Toe Executive Director Ntalasha Chisha, says this day should not be looked at as a political day, but a day of acknowledging the supremacy and goodness of God over the nation.
This day should not be looked at as a political day, but a day we acknowledge the supremacy and goodness of God over this nation. Let us depoliticize this day. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and Zambia is a Christian nation. It is therefore important for both government and opposition political parties' leadership to take advantage of this great day and sort out their differences and reflect on their services to marginalized and vulnerable majority Zambians. We need to start practicing a different kind of politics for the well-being of this nation, especially that we'll be having crucial general elections next year.
Patrick Soko, Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Minister in charge of National Development Planning, Alexander Chiteme, has called for strong partnership between government and the church. Mr. Chiteme acknowledges that there can never be meaningful development without the involvement of the church. The minister was speaking when he graced the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation in Sinda District of Eastern Province. And Sinda RCZ, Reverend Yasani Njovu, has thanked government for its commitment to improving the lives of people. Sharon Kalimbula now reports.
October 18th was 5 years ago declared the National Day of Prayer, Fasting and Reconciliation by President Edgar Lungu. Since then, people are expected to rededicate and reconcile the country to God. Senior government officials and church leaders play a key role in this commemoration across the country. This year, the National Day of Prayer is being held under the theme Zambia 6 Codes Intervention for Sustained National Unity, Peace and Prosperity, with 2 Chronicles verse 7, chapter 14, and 3 John 2:2, Isaiah 43 verse 2 as the underlining Bible verses. In Sinda District, Eastern Province, the event was held at the Reformed Church of Zambia and graced by Sinda Member of Parliament Masao Sotembo, Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo, and National Development Planning Minister Alexander Chiteme. Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo encouraged the congregants to put God first in all they do, not only for their well-being, but the country as well. And National Planning Minister Alexander Chiteme also added his voice on the importance of the National Day of Prayer, Fasting and Reconciliation.
But we do not have challenges. Nobody can have challenges. You have to roll to the are we together? The way the government needs support is the same way the government needs to support you. But we have to help each other to be able to stand together so that we can build not only roads, hospitals, but also the kingdom of God to go further. Because governance and the church are joined at the hip. There is no government without church and there is no church without government. Naona alevangalayotia ikuno chechi kulipoma ngalichitoya zimena ngenda ya Mungu.
Meanwhile, RCZ Sinda congregation Reverend Yelesani Njovu says the development projects that government is doing, such as the early distribution of farming inputs, road infrastructure development, opening of schools and churches, is a clear demonstration of government's commitment of not leaving anyone behind. The Reverend is also grateful for the pledges made by the government leaders.
Also thank our ministers and the MP for your love that you have shown us today to come and worship with us despite your busy schedules, and much more among the lay churches around Syria, you have chosen RCZ Syria. Our ministers, our member of parliament, brothers and sisters, as the church would like to register our gratitude to our government patriotic front because of the enormous development projects that are being undertaken.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Sinda District, Eastern Province.
And moving on in the news, Agricultural Technical and Professional Staff Union of Zambia General Secretary Joe Kamutuma has accused the UPND leadership of having beaten some of his union members on Wednesday, 14th October 2020 in Lavushimanda area of Muchinga province. Mr. Kamutuma says his members are already under stress and do not deserve any further punishment from any institution or individual. Mr. Kamutuma has urged political party cadres to stop attacking civil servants as they move is retrogressive to national productivity. The UPND has denied ever beating anyone, stating that they are the ones who were attacked by the PF in Chinsali.
The incident that was recorded, and we followed it on Camnet TV yesterday by the Home Affairs Minister, who was saying one extension officer was beaten and another veterinary, assistant officer was equally beaten. This is very unfortunate for Zambia. This is sad. These are people that the people in the rural communities depend on for production and productivity. We are talking COVID. We are talking challenging poverty at household level. You need enhanced extension services. And then you cadres, whatever you are, where you come from, you come and beat our officers. What are you thinking? Those areas have your relatives, your grandmothers, that depend on these officers, and you descend on them. What are you looking at? What do you want? These cadres, what do you want? We are workers, for goodness sake, Mr. Soko, and we stand for professionalism as its productivity and production. This country right now is going through a COVID series. We are done. We need to revive. You need enhanced agricultural services. You need enhanced extension services. Now you again go in the field and beat our officers. Our officers now will get scared. All of them will run away from those camps. What are we going to do? You want hunger? Is that what you want? You cadres of UPND that did this, even your leaders should renounce this. We don't need this kind of nonsense in Zambia. If this is 2020, then what will happen in 2021? We're not playing jokes. This is a country we are running here.
In a related development, UPND Secretary General Stephen Katuka has demanded for the immediate arrest of Serenje District PF Vice Youth Chairman Isal Jere for attacking UPND President Hakainde Hichilema Zinturaj in full view of the police. Mr. Katuka is appalled to note that the police have failed to arrest Mr. Jere, who is visibly seen in both videos and pictorial footage carrying and throwing stones at the UPND presidential convoy in pure infringement of President Hakainde Hichilema's fundamental freedoms of movement and assembly. He said the police must first move in and arrest the known PF cadres who caused full-scale damage to property in Serenje and Lavushimanda districts before issuing any call-outs to the UPND leader. And the party's youths have vowed that Mr. Hichilema will not report himself to any police station in Muchinga because he has not been served with a call-out, though the police have already clarified on the matter.
Language now in the country is a very thugs. The thuggery behavior was exhibited in Pika again. The convoy of President Hakainde Hichilema was blocked from just even making a smooth turn into the Mpika Kasama road. It was blocked. But because we are the nation is aware that you saw stones flying in the direction of the convoy in full view of the police. Who was doing that? Thugs. The jury has talked about, the chairman for Serenja is talked about. Those are the aggressors. Those are the ones who are supposed to be the accused, shamelessly. You hear one Hakainde Hichilema being summoned to appear before an institution, the police, for a crime that he never committed.
This time they'll be more than ready because it's a planned move. That time it took them by surprise because it wasn't properly planned. But now they're planning how to attack him. As he said, they are colluding with the police, they work with the police. As you could see in Serene, the police were standing by when this thing was happening. They never interfered, they never assisted any party. So that's why we feel it's not safe for us to allow the president to get into Chinsali. So that is our position. He has confirmed of the information that they want to block the road from Kabwe up to Chinsali.
Leadership Movement Party President Richard Silumbe believes his party will form government after next year's general elections, claiming that this is because it has received overwhelming support from majority youths who, he said, suffered greatly under the current regime. Dr. Silumbe says his party has gained momentum and was busy engaging the grassroots in its quest to form government in 2021. Dr. Silumbe says his leadership will ensure that citizens are given title deeds for land that they own so as to empower them with security of tenure. He insists that they will create over 4 million jobs for the youth through introduction of state farms. He said the remarks during a public rally held on Saturday at Bauleni Primary School grounds in Lusaka.
Oshalandati awe tapadoko twingachita tatwa kwate mpia munochalo so twakulaika la fefifire bantu lesofu atupanga tapadoko twingachita ifo uchushi wabana ifwe kanshi vintu vile chitika munochalo nomba uteko wa leadership movement vulelandati enough is enough. We will get back our land in 2021. We will get back our gold in 2021. We will get back our copper, our manganese in 2021. We will get back our mines in 2021. Enough is enough. Tukapoka yonse ama minerals twapela bamwisa.
Police in Lusaka are investigating a case of suspected murder in which an unknown male adult aged between 30 and 40 years who is alleged to have been found trespassing at Healing Word Ministry in Kablonga has died. According to police spokesperson Esther Mwata Katongo, 2 security guards who were working in the night at the above-mentioned premises came across a stranger who could not explain his presence at the said premises. Hence, they tied his legs with his belt and poured cold water on him and was later discovered dead. The incident is reported to have happened in the early hours of Sunday, 18th October 2020, between 0150 hours and 0540 hours at the said premises. Ms. Katongo, in her statement, explains that the body of the deceased was found with some bruises on his hands while the face looked swollen. She says the 2 security guards whose names have been withheld are detained in police custody while an inquiry has been launched. The body of the deceased is currently in the University Teaching Hospital mortuary in Lusaka awaiting pending post-mortem. Meanwhile, police in Mazabuka district of Southern Province have arrested a male adult aged 26 for the offense of obtaining money by false pretenses. Zambia Police Service spokesperson Esther Mwata Katongo explains that the complainant, Gift Mushendo, aged 25, of Kangila Farm, Chief Hanjilika of Chikankata district, alleged that his money amounting to 4,000 was falsely obtained by Pukeni Muzembo, aged 26, of Airport area in Livingstone, who purported to have been recruiting Zambia Air Force officers. Ms. Katongo further explains that the suspect is alleged to have collected money from 10 other people in the same area. She narrates that the incident is alleged to have occurred on the 10th of October 2020 at Kangila Farm in Chikankata district. Ms. Katongo says the suspect has been arrested and is currently in police custody.
Police have arrested a male adult aged 26 of Airport area in Livingstone for the offense of obtaining money by false pretenses. The complainant, Gift Muchendo, aged 25, of Kangila Farm, Chief Hanjalika in Chikangata district, alleged that his money amounting to 4,000 kwacha was falsely obtained by Pukeni Muzembo, aged 26, of Airport area in Livingstone, who falsely purported to be recruiting Zambia Air Force officers. The suspect is further alleged to have collected money from about 10 other people in the same area. So far, 2 people have reported the matter to police, from which he collected 4,000 kwacha and 1,500 kwacha respectively. The incident occurred on 10th October 2020 at Kangila Farm in Chikangata district. The suspect was apprehended today, 18th October 2020, at about 11:48 hours at a local lodge in Mazabuka district where he had booked a room. He is currently detained in police custody. A docket of obtaining money by false pretenses has been opened, and we call on all people that could have been swindled by the suspect to report to the police. It is in this same vein that we continue appealing to members of the public to desist from trusting people demanding money from them on pretext that they will help them secure employment in the public service, as they risk being swindled by these.
We take our second set of commercials. To stay with us as we have international and sports news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, emotions ran high on Friday as 2 black suspects appeared in a South African court over the murder of a white farmer, which has once again sparked racial tensions 26 years after the end of apartheid. A barbed wired fence ringed the courthouse in the central town of Senekal, and police and a water cannon were deployed as opposing groups of white farmers and black activists gathered near the site. The killings of Braden, a white man whose tortured body was found tied to a pole near his farm in Free State Province, sparked riots at the start of this month and purported President Cyril Ramaphosa to make a statement urging South Africans to resist attempts to mobilize communities along racial lines. The farmers who accused the government of failing to protect them from violent crime arrived in pickup trucks ahead of the court hearings for Honor's 2 suspected killers. The farmers mostly wore khaki shirts and shorts. A few were military outfits. And still in international news, tens of thousands of people took to the streets across Thailand's capital of Bangkok and other cities across the country on Saturday in defiance of a crackdown on 3 months of demonstrations aimed at the government and the powerful monarchy. Many protesters said they had been stirred into action by the police use of water cannons on Friday to disperse thousands of youth-led protesters who included many children. Police attempts to thwart protesters by shutting down Bangkok's public transport network backfired when it led to localized protesters across the city involving 3 main centers and several other smaller demonstrations. There were demonstrations in at least 6 cities outside Bangkok too. Al Jazeera has more in this international roundup.
It's the culmination of days of tension as supporters of the economic freedom fighters confront white farmers in Senekal in the Free State province. The fighters, as they call themselves, say they're here to defend state institutions and democracy, but some of their supporters threw rocks and blocked the road. Last week, white farmers stormed the Senekal Magistrates Court as 2 black men appeared for the murder of white farm manager Brendan Horner. They damaged property and set fire to a police vehicle.
We are going to stop them to do as they wish, but not to confront them. We are here. Whatever they will start, we will give. If they give the fight, we give them the fight.
Farmers here say the government has failed them by not dealing with violence on farms. Brendan Horner was killed 2 weeks ago. His body was dumped here. Local farmers say they're angered not only by the killing, but also the way it happened.
The cause of death was strangled. He was strangled. And then he was pulled with the same rope he was strangled. He was pulled to that pole. And at that pole he was fastened to the pole. And he was left over there.
As the 2 men appeared again in court on Friday for the murder, farmers and their supporters demonstrated outside. According to civil rights organization AfriForum, there have been more than 290 farm attacks and 37 murders this year.
Enough is enough. We can't afford the killing of our farmers in this country anymore. They carry our economy, they make our food that feeds us. It is important that we take a stand today.
The leader of the economic freedom fighters, Julius Malema, has been accused of inciting violence and stoking racial tensions. Farmers we spoke to who refused to appear on camera said they too are prepared to fight if necessary.
This is our land. Don't listen to any elderly person who tells you how you must treat white people. If our elders were brave enough, we won't be here today. There won't be a white arrogant man. There won't be a disrespectful white man.
The bail application for the 2 men accused of killing Horner has been postponed until next week.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says racial tensions in South Africa need to be addressed or they'll continue to threaten social cohesion. But protesters on both sides of the divide appear unwilling to back down, raising concerns things will only worsen in a country where people may not have truly reconciled.
Anti-government protesters in Bangkok defied an emergency decree and the police crackdown the night before to come out onto the streets again on Saturday. Undeterred by police moves to shut down the centre of the Thai capital, they split into 3 groups. To the north, east and west of the city they gathered and called for the government to step down and the monarchy to reform. Earlier in the day, the police announced that public transport to the centre of Bangkok would be stopped and roads closed. Anyone found to be participating in the protests, they said, would be arrested and charged.
We have been constantly telling them that gatherings are prohibited because they are illegal. It doesn't matter whether the protests are peaceful or not, they are considered illegal.
But the police were outmaneuvered again. Mobilizing on social media, the protesters just reassembled elsewhere. This group of engineering students had come prepared for trouble after seeing the water cannon and other police tactics the night before.
There are rumors that the police would arrest people right away, without forming a line or pushing us or dispersing us. They will arrest us. I'm worried, so I prepared these.
As night fell, rumors swirled of an imminent police crackdown. At times, the crowds looked lost, with many of their leaders already detained. But the message to the government remained clear, that they wanted to step down. The protesters have now been out for 4 nights in a row, and each night they've faced strong opposition from the authorities. The expected crackdown, however, never came, and the protesters didn't push their luck. After occupying the streets for 4 hours, they packed up and drifted home. But their point had been made, that they can and they will continue to fight, and it seems there's little the authorities can do to stop them.
We now get into sports news. And in sports, Chipolo Polo coach MICHO has named a 23-man squad of local players to play Ethiopia and South Sudan in international friendly matches. The technical bench has retained most of the local players that were part of the just-ended FIFA international window, which saw the Chipolo Polo play 3 matches against Malawi, Kenya and South Africa. MICHO has drafted Quasi goalkeeper Charles Muntanga, Zanaco defender Gibson Kamanga, Luka Nguni and Paul Katena. The team enters camp on Tuesday, 20th October, and will jet off to Ethiopia the following day in readiness for the match against the country's national team on Thursday. Zambia's second match will be against South Sudan on Saturday before facing Ethiopia again on Sunday. The team will wrap up the Addis Ababa engagement with another match against South Sudan on Monday, October 26. The Serb is using the matches to prepare the players for the back-to-back African Cup of Nations qualifier matches against Botswana in November and the African Nations Championship slated for January 2021 in Cameroon. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines once again. HH blocked from visiting KAMBWILI in prison and police refute ever summoning him in Chinsali. President Edgar Lungu leads Zambians in national prayer and fasting. Online voter registration condemned. In international news, tensions run high in South Africa following the killing of a white farmer. And in sports news, MICHO summons 23 local bullets for Ethiopia Sudan friendlies. The Camnet word verse of the day is coming from the book of Daniel 1 verse 8, and it reads, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV's news on Camnet TV, not just another channel.